I'd like to talk to you about fasting. This is a technique, an approach, a system, if you like, which has been used since ancient times to help healing and health. It's very powerful and it can be used by people who have diabetes to control their insulin and control their weight. In this video, I'm going to explain how we can use fasting with great effect. Hello, my name is Graham. I've had type 2 diabetes. I've got myself into remission. I was overweight. I've got myself into my healthy BMI range. And I think I can help you do the same. It's not easy, but it is quite straightforward. I've worked out how to do it, and I'm going to pass this information on to yourselves. So, fasting. This is important. It's an important technique to help us achieve remission. The ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, and the Indians used this technique, and they used it to clean out toxins from their bodies, to aid digestion, to reset their metabolisms, and also for Plato and Socrates, and I'm sure many others, they use it as a system of mental clarity when they got themselves into a state of ketosis. More of that in a few minutes. Now, there are a variety of techniques for fasting. I can't go through them all today, but if you like, I've identified 4 principal techniques, and there'll be lots of variants on these which people will use. But let's go through these. The first one is intermittent fasting. It's a system I use. It's a system you use every day, and you give yourself a window when you don't eat and a window when you do eat. And you can do a 12-12 system, a 14-hour break from eating with 10 hours eating, and then a 16-hour break from eating and an 8-hour eating windows at 60 and 8. It can be used for weight loss effectively and also improving insulin sensitivity. The next one is a 24-hour fast. People typically do these for once or twice a week. The main benefit of this is it promotes fat burning. Then the third one I'd like to mention is the 5-2 diet, as it's often called, because quite simply it's 5 days normal eating and 2 days of calorie restriction. Some people put those 2 days together, others spread them on different days of the week. The main aim of this is to burn fat, to achieve fat loss. And then finally, the fourth one I'd mention is extended fasting. This is for periods for 48 hours up to 72 hours with just water taken during that period. It's to achieve a state of deep ketosis and autophagy. We'll come on to autophagy in a minute. It's quite a radical system, and if you're going to do that, I think you need some medical advice if you're going to do that. Just a few comments about these different types of fasts. Now, as I say, I do the 16-8 system, and I found, now we're all different, but I found that I adapted quite quickly to that after only about 3 or 4 days, and in the system I don't feel hungry, when I'm in my 16-hour non-eating window. But all the same, I built up from a 12-12 for a 14-10 up to 60 and 8. I think also has to be said, it may be an obvious point, but perhaps some may not realize this, that when you're in your eating window, you still have to control what you eat. Big splurge on, I don't know, fish and chips or whatever, it isn't going to be right. If you're on some sort of proper diet, you need to stick to that and eat the right sort of foods during that eating window. On ketosis, this is when the body switches over from using sugar, glucose as a fuel, to actually burning fat, which it converts into ketones as its main energy source. That's what ketosis is. I know several people who regularly achieve the state of ketosis, and it's interesting how they all comment on the fact that in that condition, they feel very alert, very well, wide awake, and with great mental clarity. Interesting, so no wonder the likes of Plato and Socrates use that system. Um, and I think the other thing is just what I said earlier about 3 or 4 days before your body adapts to your new system is that yes, you will feel hungry to some extent, um, but as I say, the body quickly adapts. One other issue, though, is if you've got yourself into a nice intermittent fasting window of 16, 8, 14, 10, whatever it might be, if you then have a major blowout in terms of food or whatever at a weekend or whatever, you'll be back to square one, starting all over again in terms of getting your body reconditioned to having an intermittent fasting system. So there you go. Let's talk about autophagy. The word means self-eating, which doesn't sound particularly good, but it's very descriptive of what is actually going on here. And what's happening is that it's a natural process where the body starts to recycle old damaged cells and proteins, etc. And it cleans out the toxins from the body and speeds cell renewal as well. So it's a very good thing to do. Essentially, it's the body spring cleaning itself. And if you have a fasting system going, this can be doing be spring cleaning itself and get yourself a bit of a reset and a clean out every single day during your fasting period. So to name these benefits in a bit more detail, it removes damaged cells from the body, which often linked to the aging process and disease, but it removes those and recycles them. It is thought as well that it may reduce the risk of neurodegenerative diseases, the likes of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, but there's more research needed on that. But the first initial research is very positive about that it can help there. It helps fight infections, because it's getting rid of the old cells. It reduces inflammation, and it promotes insulin sensitivity, which is important for diabetics. And it may even help fight cancer, because it deals with the damaged mitochondria, and those who are familiar with the metabolic theory of cancer disease will understand that mitochondria are absolutely crucial in the development of cancer. So that's important, but there's more work to be done on that. And one other point is that it may indeed help slow the aging process and extend lifespan, but there's been no human trials on that yet, as I understand it. From what I've read, it's all to do with animal trials, but again, very encouraging research. Okay, so with autophagy, when does it start? Well, the research does vary a bit on this, but from the studies I've read, it looks as if it starts to kick in after approximately 12 hours of fasting, 12 to 16 hours worth of fasting. It starts to kick in and have an effect on the body. But the real deepening effect of autophagy doesn't take place until about 24 hours to 72 hours. And that it's running it at peak performance at 72 hours. So these longer fasts. And it's triggered primarily by low insulin levels, which is understandable, and low glucose levels. So that's what actually triggers the process to start. So autophagy is very encouraging of what it can do for us. And you can just see what's happening here is that by fasting and taking a break from taking in food all day long, the blood sugar no longer spikes, that goes down. There's no need for the release of insulin, and the insulin levels calm right down and go into just like a fasting state. And then after so many hours, the whole process of cleaning itself, autophagy, starts. It's an interesting and very encouraging system to use. I'd like to give you some more help about all this. What I've recorded for you is it's a short video. I think it's about 20 minutes long, which explains in more detail how I've got myself in terms of my insulin under control, into remission, and my weight down. I've explained that in quite some detail. And I'll put a link to this video in the description below. And also gives you an opportunity to go through this, and then you can ring me for a call if you'd like to see if I can help you to achieve diabetic remission. So that's, as I say, I'll put a link to that in the description below. I hope you found this useful. I wish you the best of health and talk to you again soon.